Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Pokeballs Podcast. My name is Lee, also known as Osirus, and I have the pleasure, as always, to be joined by my good friend Scott. How are you doing, mate? Out of the studio, back home.
Finally back home, back out of that stupid Travelodge hotel, and back on my nice comfy chair in my nice comfy
Never want to
setup.
see another travel lodge in your life.
Never again, bro. Never again. I hate Travelodges, but no, yeah, it's good to be home. I'm still knackered, as I've already discussed with you. Every time, I'll hit like a 10-hour night's sleep, and then I'll wake up and I'm still tired now. So I'm hoping give it a week and then we'll be back together. But we're back home now, which is great because it means I can do it from my setup at home. And we've had a lot of stuff, a lot of news come through, which we kind of expected. Not necessarily. Well, I mean, we have to wait a bit longer to see whether all of it will pan out, but we've had a lot of stuff.
Stuff's been happening for sure, but it's getting back to you, mate. It's nice to see that you're back at home, getting rested up, and you can kind of get back to a more normal schedule and all that jazz. So it's good, mate. It's nice. I'm excited for you for the sleeping and resting and feeling more human again.
So am I. Am I.
That's good, mate. But yeah, lots has been happening. We had the Delphox raid announced finally, so that's happened, and that came in this week. We're going to be seeing it.
There was a lot more excitement for the raid than I actually thought there would be.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot harder, I think, as a solo raid than I think a lot of people expected it to be as well. Like online, there's a lot of strats that are making it like super easy, like one shot sort of thing. But as a solo raid, it's pretty tough compared to what we've had recently.
Yeah, which is nice because I guess a lot of people have been not bored of the raids, but just again they're just getting a bit samey. And it always seems
you couldn't bring an Iolape as well, mate.
Couldn't bring an Iolape
you couldn't, or Iron Hands.
Or Iron Hands, so
out of the question.
Out of the question.
So we haven't had those constant. I'm just bringing an Iolape to this week, so it's like, nah. The problem is this week, mate, is everyone's like, Heatran's the answer. Heatran's great online. I really don't like Heatran as a solo raid mon. That's why I've not covered it in any of my videos. I do not rate it for this raid at all. Like, I really don't. It just doesn't have the tools. It's great typing wise, but otherwise I think throw it away, put it in the trash.
Put it in the bin, baby.
Yeah. But there's plenty of other options, and we've got some nice, refreshed options that will be up on Thursday on the channel when the raid goes live again. So some alt options, which is good.
Do you think we will get another announcement? So on Sunday night, will we get another announcement for another 7-star? Do you think?
I think it'll be very telling what will be happening next week if we do get an announcement on Sunday night, or if maybe more telling if we don't get an announcement. I was surprised. I know we spoke about it on Sunday about the new Spotlight Terror had been announced this week, and I was totally convinced, yeah, we're going to get new Paradox Pokemon. And I honestly thought we were going to get like Slitherwing and Iron Moth as a kind of, the version exclusive pairing this week, but we got nothing, which was a big surprise. So that's a little bit of a tell. But I think this week it has to be either Rillaboom, and I think if we don't get the Rillaboom announced, it's going to be the 7-star Mewtwo raid next week, because it falls next week on that anniversary date on the 18th, which is a Tuesday. I'm still convinced that we're going to get a Pokemon Direct, even though we've had the news about Sleep and there's not as much to kind of talk about. I still feel like we're due a DLC trailer, even though we had one in that Nintendo Direct. We may not, of course. They may just sit on whatever they've got and then keep the reveal for Worlds, which is like 4 weeks away now. So that could make sense as well. But then, I don't know. It doesn't mean that if we get the announcement for Rillaboom, though, that we're not going to get the 7-star Terrorade from Mewtwo as well. That could run through the week, and then Rillaboom starts on the Friday. But I think they do need to drop the Rillaboom to kind of keep with the scheduling of things. So I fully expect Rillaboom to be announced this Sunday. But I would love to be wrong. I'd love for them to throw us a curveball and be something like really left field, like for Alligator or something like that. It'd be awesome.
Do you think Rillaboom would be next, or do you think it would be a Mewtwo Tera if they announced one?
I think it'd be Rillaboom. I think they would do. I think they would announce the Mewtwo as a. I don't think they would announce it like they announced the regular Terra raids. On the Notice sites. I think they would have a special announcement for the Mewtwo event, because I'm convinced as well with this 7-star Mewtwo event that they're going to do a mystery gift for Mew. Because Mew plays such a big, important role in this Terra raid. We know from the data mined information, Mew has that interaction when you go into the raid against Mewtwo. It's almost like you have to take Mew into it. Mm-hmm. And if you have to have that interaction to go in against the Mewtwo with Mew, then you have to be able to have Mew. And not everyone's played like previous generations, or plays Pokemon Go, or plays any of these flurry of other games where you've been able to get Mew in the past. So I think they need to, specifically for Scarlet and Violet players, the newer player base, provide Mew in some sort of way, and the only way to do that's going to be through a mystery gift. And it would make sense that they say it's the 25th anniversary of the first movie, and to celebrate this, we're doing an event to replicate that Mew versus Mewtwo battle. Here's your mystery gift for Mew. You have to take it in and beat a 7-star Mewtwo with it in a raid. That would make a lot of sense to me, and I don't really see how they play it out otherwise. I know a lot of people have speculated, saying that there's an event going on in Pokemon Go at the minute where you can get a paid event to do research to get a shiny Mew in your games. And people have speculated that that's the way that you're going to get the Mew in Pokemon Go and trade it into Pokemon Scarlet.
Not everyone plays Pogo, do they?
Yeah, and it seems too long-winded to get a Mew to do this event specifically. I think the most streamlined way is they're going to do a mystery gift for Mew. And then when you complete the Terra raid as well, Mew gets the mightiest mark, which is quite interesting. So that's how I see it playing out, which is quite exciting. If it happens next week, they may sit on it for a little while longer, but it just makes too much sense for it to fall and do all of this on that anniversary, because it's a big deal, right?
Yeah. So as you're saying, it would make sense for them to drop it after it presents, like they did with the Pikachu one. Do you think?
Yeah. Like a new trailer, I think, to explain what the mightiest mark link is with the DLCs. That would be my thinking. And then it's a little teaser about the DLCs, a little aspect of it, where they're not revealing too much, and then they can do a bigger reveal about some other things that are in the DLCs that we have no idea about that are happening yet at the World Championships. Or even better, they may drop a really big bombshell at Worlds. They always do a big reveal at Worlds, right?
Do they?
On the final day. Always do a big reveal. Every year, mate.
They do it for the following Worlds, but do they drop? What did they drop this year? Did they drop anything?
They dropped there was 3 moves. There was the Cyclizar, the Shed Tail move. There was another move.
Oh,
yeah. They dropped,
yeah.
And it was like, no way. So they did that at Worlds the last year in London. And I mean, like previous years, they've done Mega Kangaskhan was one year. I remember, was that 2013? I think 14 was Mega Kangaskhan. Then you had like Mega Salamence, Mega Slowbro was another one. They had, can you remember the Crabrawler one where they had it against like Crabrawler pre-Sun and Moon, where they revealed Crabrawler and it was like it one-shot Talonflame, it one-shot Kangaskhan, and there was another really big meta Pokemon as well that it one-shot, and everyone was like, no way, this crab's going to be insane. And then it got revealed actually in the games, and you were like, that's kind of, they kind of exaggerated the crab a little bit. But they always do exciting reveals. Like they do one for VG, they do one for TCG, because I always remember specifically the one that always sticks in my mind is the tag team reveal where they had the Zekrom and Pikachu tag team card, and they revealed that was really hype. So they always do big reveals for up and coming things at Worlds. It's never like a massively long segment, but they do little teaser trailer things. So it'd be a good place for them to do something this year. Whether or not it'll be a big reveal or not, I don't know, but exciting.
Yeah, you have to try and cover it.
I will try and see if I can, if I'm if I'm on the floor.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, it does feel like things are ramping up finally. Although this week looks like it's going to be a bit quiet, it does feel like we're getting somewhere, which is nice because we've had nothing for so long. So yeah, so we'll do the Delphox Tera this week. Then again, we'll just have to wait and see what we get next week. But whatever gets announced on Sunday, if we get something announced, should give us more, should help us, piece the bits together. What they're actually gonna do, because if they do Rillaboom, then that's great. But then they might announce something else. They could do Rillaboom and then announce a presents as well, or something.
Yeah, I still think if we do get the Rillaboom announced, it's like, well, they're just keeping with the schedule of these 7-star Terror events. So I don't really think it affects too much. But I think it's more indicative if we don't get an announcement on Sunday night that we're going to get something that week to fill a gap where we'd normally get a Rillaboom, and then Rillaboom will be the following week. It'd be hilarious, though. It's going to be hilarious if it's not Rillaboom as this next Terror event. And we've been harping on for ages, just being like, yeah, it's going to be Delphox and then Rillaboom. But it just makes sense, we just need now to complete the Gen 8 starters set. So that would be Rillaboom, right? That's the only one we're missing at the minute. Other than Blastoise and Venusaur, but they'll be, I think, dropped in the DLCs when they come along. Whenever that'll be later this year. But we know we've got a notice period as well, that we know where the DLCs aren't going to be dropping until at least September, because there's a period, I think a bit of information came out earlier this week that was stating that a preparation period between July and the 31st of August were the preparation period for the DLCs. So that means, and that was from official sources in Japan, so we know that the DLCs aren't going to be coming out anytime before the 31st of August. So it's going to be sometime in September for that first DLC, which is the Teal Mask, which is pretty interesting.
You're convinced it's not later?
I think it'll be September, mate. I think if they're going to squeeze both of them into this year, it has to be September, and then I think November, because then it gives you enough time. I think if you're getting the Teal Mask in October, I don't think they're going to do a drop in November. They can't do them a month apart.
No.
Unless they're really tiny. I thought they were going
to release it next year. Do they still both say 2023?
2023, yeah.
Would it not make sense for them to drop it next year?
I think it probably would.
Because
I think it would.
They're going to have a whole year then of nothing. Well, I'm going to have to wait until November to see whatever the hell they have planned.
It depends how big the Indigo Disc is. We were talking in a chat on stream last night, and there was the talk came up about, is there going to be a similar thing to a battle tree or a battle tower in the Indigo Disc, because of the kind of the appearance of the Blueberry Academy. It is a battle academy, right? It's where trainers look like they go to develop their battling skills. So it could be indicative that we get something like a battle tree or a battle factories type of facility in there, which would give those games so much more playability, so much more playtime. If you've got the terrarium there, we can go and catch Pokemon. You've got a battle tower sort of thing in there, so it means that there's a lot more for players to do in there, especially as well if it links up to the Terrapagos storyline, where we're going back into Area Zero, and then in that aspect, that space there is where you get the legendaries as well, because you got to think, like, we will get the legendaries in these games, like all the box art legendaries, you Groudons, Kyogres, Rayquazas, but where is that? Where's the facility in the game's going to be for those? So that's going to be something as well for players to do. So there's going to be a lot of content for players to go in and kind of spend time doing, and shiny hunt and all the kind of standard things that players like to do in post game. So you think that might be, if it's big enough to kind of fill the gap till November next year, if they do release it in maybe November. And then I guess then it is like a year between releases as well. So September, November for the DLCs, and then you've got a whole year to wait for whatever's coming next November, which they seem to like doing that November release date.
Let's save that for a sec, because I know we have some interesting stuff to discuss based on some news we've heard this week. But let's just quickly cover the rest of the news, and then we can dive into that a bit more.
Cool beans. Let's go. What we got?
So we covered the Tera raid, the Delphox Tera raid. The only other news that we actually really had this week is Pokemon Sleep coming out.
Yeah.
And while you were talking there, I was just looking some things up because they seem to be pushing this quite hard, which is not odd, but I mean, on paper it doesn't sound very exciting, really. I mean, the way they advertise you using it is you either get the Pokeball Plus accessory, Pokemon Go Plus accessory, which you put on your pillow, or you have to put your phone on your bed to do it. And I don't know how well that's going to catch on, but I did see an interesting tweet from Joe saying that shiny Pokemon are apparently going to be available in Pokemon Sleep. So
that's pretty cool.
He was memeing about shiny hunting streams. They could be interesting, but there's currently no way to transfer them to any other game. So some of the comments here have been like, well, what's the point if you can't transfer them into a main series game? But I'm sure people will enjoy it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll be interested to see what it's like, because it could be really cool, but it's just something that I don't see it being that popular, to be honest, or big in my eyes.
Yeah, I think.
What do you think?
If it had compatibility with Pokemon Home, I think it would be a lot more appealing to people, because the fact that you could get a Pokemon, in Pokemon Sleep and then trade it into your game to actually play with, that would be pretty cool, especially shinies and things. And they would indefinitely have like a different like region mark on them, which is kind of cool and make them a bit rarer. I'm quite excited to try the game when it comes out, and I do plan on doing some content around it because I do like the look of it, and I think I watched a little bit of Joe's. Joe did a preview on Cerebi about the whole thing, and it does look a lot more in depth than what I initially thought it was going to be. I think there's a lot more to it than just turning it on at night and then seeing where your sleep pattern goes. I think I'm interested to see how it works with your phone. The problem I have is I find it hard to sleep on an evening when I go to bed, because my mind is like, there we go, there's Joe there, and he does a full breakdown of the whole thing, and I think he went to a special event where they had a slumber party and tried it out. But yeah, cool. I don't know if anyone else has issues. Like, my mind is like spaghetti when I get into bed at night. I will think of one thing to try and make me go to sleep, but I'll just instantly think of something else from that. So I'll be, it'll just go on this rabbit hole of just thoughts, and then it'll lead to somewhere where I'm like, how am I even thinking about this in bed? And then I'll start getting annoyed because I'm like, oh, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm still not asleep. And then I'll be annoyed about that, and then it'll go down another spiral rabbit hole. So the only way for me to get around that is either by watching something. So I always have like program on, and that's like the one thing I can like concentrate on, so I can actually go to sleep, and then turn it off. So I don't know how that would interact with the app, because there's obviously noise going on when I'm watching it. And then, so I don't know. This is specific to me. I don't know if anyone else has problems. I have terrible.
I think a lot of people struggle
by myself, so yeah. So it would be good if it does some fixy with my sleep pattern. But
I mean, it records the noises you make as well. That's what I.
That's what I think. Like, if I set it away, right, recording, and I'm watching something on like my iPad, it's gonna record the iPad. There's noises, so that's kind of like, I don't know, it kind of conflicts. But I am incapable of just having nothing on and just going to sleep.
It feels like it's made for kids, let's be honest.
Yeah. But sleep's super important, right? It's super important for your health and stuff like that. So it's like, it's a really good thing to kind of, promote that in youngster.
Okay, so this is interesting. Why does it give you a nature if you can't trade it out of the game?
Oh, does it?
Yeah, look. Why is that relevant? Yeah. They must be able to. Why would they give it a nature if you can't trade it out of the game?
That's a good point.
They must be
planning.
No, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe they're planning something, because it just seems weird. There's literally no benefit to having a nature otherwise.
Yeah. I reckon they'll have compatibility with it. They have to have thought about it. Like, it makes sense for them to be like, yeah, get your Pokemon, sleep Pokemon.
Or at least a
Scarlet and
Pokemon
Violet.
home. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's all your devices. The Pokeball Plus Plus. I think it's released on the 21st, so... But it's like 50 quid, that device. I know you can use it with Pokemon Go as well, so that's kind of cool. So it spins Pokestops automatically when you walk past them. It catches Pokemon, I think, automatically as well, which is kind of cool. But I've never really played with the Pokeball Plus, so I would
rather use that than have to faff about trying to get my phone.
Me too. I think that's what I would prefer, because I think you just leave that like you would leave your phone at the top of your bed, and that would be way better. It doesn't record the sounds though, which is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, for you, if you're someone like yourself that listens to stuff, but
I do sleep talk as well. Like Tash was telling me like, oh, you were chatting nonsense again last night. I'll be like, what? She just sometimes have a full conversation with me about absolutely nothing.
Well, that happened with me and you, didn't it?
No memory.
When we were at an event, you like, because I sleep talk, and you're like, you were talking to me yesterday, and I couldn't work out whether you were awake or not.
It's funny, mate.
Yeah.
Like, it's mad what you do to sleep. So, yeah. And I used to grind my teeth a lot, so that wouldn't be a great sound to hear. Just.
Yeah.
But I don't think I do that too much anymore, which is good. Yeah, but that's coming out. That's exciting. So I don't know the release date. I know they are doing, they're rolling it out to do testing at the minute in different countries. I think Australia, New Zealand, Canada, 3 countries where they're doing testing at the moment. On Android though, not on iOS. So if you are an iOS user, then you have to wait a little bit longer for that.
That's weird. They normally do it the other way around.
Yeah, you can't, because you could kind of register for your interest to get the app when it comes out, but only on Android, so you couldn't do it on the App Store yet on iOS, and I don't think there's been any updates since then. I'll have a quick look when you're chatting to me about something else. But yeah, like you say, it's normally the other way around. Pokemon Sleep, let's see. But exciting, I'm looking forward to it. I definitely will be trying it, and I think it's going to be good. Yeah, there's nothing on iOS at the minute. What is Pokemon Smile? Brush together.
Have you not heard about that was announced ages ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can remember a trailer for it. Is that like presents last year? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, lots going on. So that's that, mate. That is that.
There was one other thing that I forgot that was announced.
Oh yeah.
Pokemon announced their own forums, as we talked about.
How did we forget this?
It was a bit of a shit show.
What a cluster. Yeah, this has been pretty interesting. I haven't actually been back on recently. I'm just having a browse now to see if there's anything crazy in there. But mate,
for those of you that don't know,
it's gonna go down like that.
Pokemon made their own official forums, basically, and the first day or week was just the stuff that was on the forums that were coming up was so funny. I've got a few of them up. Where's the other one? So it's like, someone was like, which Pokemon would be the best at operating a Hyundai 25-litre 7 forklift? Just like, okay. And then my favourite one was, I am immeasurably attractive to God of War. And then there was a comment, there was another one like directly above it. It was like, how long do you think it will take Pokemon to regret making this forum?
Instantly when they're reading stuff like that, it's like, come on.
Why does this exist? But for those of you that do want to use it, it's up now. The link is on there, the official Pokemon website. You can get to it from there.
I think it's actually a really cool thing. I do want to get a bit more involved with it, because I think, like, especially like if you're into competitive scene or anything like that, it could be quite good for updates in regards to that, tournaments that are going on, tournament organization, like online events and things like that, discussions around teams, Pokemon formats, etc. I really miss that sort of thing from back in the day. You know, we had Nugget Bridge, which was like the goat of forums. And we don't really have anything like that. It's all moved to like Discord servers and things like that now. So it's a little bit different. Whereas, you know, forums are cool back in the day.
Oh, there is now a temporary pre-approval process. I guess they added that in afterwards.
Is that for like any posts?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But no, yeah, there wasn't
full-time job.
We don't really have, like I said, Nugget Bridge was the main one that everybody loved.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this sort of where it sort of goes, because obviously we have things like Victory Road, which does a lot of that sort of similar stuff now.
I'm going to plug this right now, and now we're talking about it. It feels like a good time to talk about it. If anyone wants to delve into the history of competitive Pokemon from right back in the day, I'm going to send you this right now, Scott. I'm going to send you this this site. Then you can go here, and you can look at some of the forum posts on this site, and you can find out war stories and everything from back in the day, from the red, blue, and yellow days of Pokemon. And it's amazing. It's really cool to go. This is the OG original competitive Pokemon forum from back in the day, and there is war stories from the very, very first 2001 Pokemon Championships. Players that went to these events recorded what happened at the events, their tournament runs. You've got the World Championships World War story here. You've got Ian Garvey, who was the first US and national champion. You've got his war story, his team that he used on there. I think you've got to go down to the Azure Arena. I sometimes drop in sporadically, maybe once a year, and go and read the forum posts here, just to kind of like for a bit of nostalgia. It's really cool, and I learned basically everything I know from competitive Pokemon from Azure Heights, and it's awesome that it's still up as well after all these years.
They just kept it up.
Yeah, but you can go down to the Azure Arena, which is that one, yeah, and you've got all the war stories in there from like way
look
back
at these
in the
dates.
day.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's like a really special little time capsule from that period. Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing, and some of the war stories in there are incredible. Like you've got the UK National Championship war story. You've got like the World's one. You've got the European one, the US one. There's loads in there about like how Pokemon was when it originally started as a competitive scene before TPCI took it on. You know, this was Nintendo ran these tournaments, which is it's really cool. It's really reminiscent. It might not interest a lot of you, but it is a very cool place, and it holds a special place for me. So a nice little side plug into this pod.
That is wicked. I might have to have a look through that. I think I remember someone mentioning it before to me, but that is very cool.
It might have been me.
A good archive. It's probably definitely you, to be honest.
Yeah. The only person that you know that probably knows about it. But yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. But getting back on track, Pokemon Sleep looks very exciting. Was there anything else that we want to talk about news-wise? I don't think. Pokemon Go, we've got the 7th anniversary events running on at the minute, so that's happening. We had the community day for Squirtle over the weekend, which was pretty cool. So, and then I don't think there's much else for community days coming up very soon until later in the month, which is for Poliwag, I think the next one. So, and then you've got Go Fest, which will be kicking off in August.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jargon.
I still need to decide whether I want to go to that, but yes, I may go to that, and then I can let you guys know how it goes.
That'd be awesome if you did a day vlog of that. That would be very cool, mate. If you do go.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it news-wise. Just looping back to, so as we've discussed many, many times, obviously the DLCs are the hot topic right now because we don't know what the hell is happening and when they're coming out. We were talking briefly before the podcast about the sort of roadmap for what they plan to do in the next couple of years. Because our current assumption would be the DLCs, and then me and Lee both assume that they would do a Black and White remake and then Gen 10. So Black and White DLCs we get one this year, maybe the other one next year, or both this year, and then next November we'll probably get a Black and White remake, and then the November after that in 2025 we get the Gen 10 remakes. Now, Lee saw an interesting theory about. Why don't you just explain it, because rather than me butchering.
Well, it was from the well-renowned, very nice birdkeeper Toby had put a video up recently on his channel about the possibility of us going back to Johto and the connections that he made in his video. I would definitely go and recommend to check it out. Very good video. And there's also some supporting things in that video that make me think it's more likely that we're going to get. He's convinced me that we're going to get a Legends Arceus game now, like another Legends game. You know, when I've said before the numbers that they sold, it was like 14 million units sold, and that's always been my thing where I've been like, when you look at other games that have sold that amount of units, it doesn't feel like they're going to get a remake because it's not a very big number. He made a super good point in the video where it's like, oh, of course, that actually makes a lot of sense. A lot of these games that have had like that amount of sales have been dual games, so they've had two versions. So you're selling two copies of the game. And when they've hit that mark, like, you know, like that's for two games. Whereas Legends Arceus sold that amount with one game, right? So, you know, when people go out and buy a game, they're normally going to go out and buy both versions. So it's kind of like a...
Well, a lot of people do. A lot of people do.
Yeah. So, like, that second copy that's sold, a lot of the time is kind of like a freebie because it's just, we've released two, people want to buy both of them, right? Whereas Legends Arceus just had the one. So to get that amount of numbers of one version, it kind of gives a lot more credence to it having a remake because it was popular and it is super popular within the community. Like, people love Legends Arceus. So for them to do another one, I think just makes more sense. And his big thing was we're going back to Johto in it, and it would be like a Legends Celebi or something like along those lines. But there's a lot of tie-ins with, and there's been murmurings ever since I remember the trailers for Scarlet and Violet with the gold and the silver uniforms. There's lots of hints throughout Scarlet and Violet that kind of point to us maybe going back to Johto. And I think the biggest tell at the minute is going to Kitakami and the DLCs. Because you look at the regions where we are now, we're in Paldea. We know geographically where Paldea is in the kind of Pokemon World map. It's near Galar, it's near Unova. It borders Unova, right? And it's this area of the world. It's not in the Japan area of the Pokemon world, whereas Kanto and Johto are in Japan, and Kitakami is definitely somewhere in Japan, right? So we know that could link up. There's Hisuian Pokemon in, you know, there's the statues of the Hisuian Growlithe in the trailer for the Teal Mask. So there's going to be a link there. You know, the Johtonian people moved to Sinnoh, where Legends Arceus is. That law was, they moved from Johto. They came from Johto, they migrated, and then set up in Sinnoh. So there's lots of links there, and I think I would be really excited if we got something like that. We got a Gen 2 remake, or we got a Gen 2 Legends game. And I think it could make a lot of sense. And I think his whole theory was basically, I could be getting it wrong, but from what I took away was that they're going to save the Black and White Gen 5 remakes for the 30th anniversary.
I thought you said Gen 10 for 30th anniversary.
Gen 10 and Black and White for the 30th anniversary in that period. But we talked about other things as well, so it's not like, you know, it's a theory. So, you know, other opinions, like, you tell us what you think, because I think your roadmap is very interesting with how it could play out as well. Because I think we can't discount them having a gap year. We can't have a year without a Pokemon game at this point, I think, with their release schedule. I think because of the reliance on TCG products, the reliance on Unite, Go, all the other things, the anime, you need to have that continual churn cycle of something every year to kind of keep those other facets of the franchise going, right? Because they're all based off the games. The games kind of dictate what those other facets in the franchise can do. Like, they branch off from it. So we can't have a year where we haven't got anything.
100%. So my theory, if you wanted to believe that they would like to release something important specifically for the 30th anniversary. So the 30th anniversary currently would be 2026. So that gives us 3 years, because we're in 2023, if you include this year, obviously. So currently we have the DLC lined up for some point this year. Whether we'll get 1 or 2, we don't know, as I mentioned briefly earlier. And then we might get another one next year, early next year, or at least the first half of 2024. So if they wanted to do, say, release the Gen 10 on the 30th anniversary, which is, I think makes more sense for this theory, you could do the black and white remakes next year, which would be 2024 in November, and then the year after that, you do a Legends game, Legends Johto. If they wanted to do both of them, rather than release a remake and the Legends game within like 6 months apart, which is what they did with BDSP and Legends Arceus. I mean, that might be different because they were essentially the same region, right? One was an older version of Sinnoh.
Yeah, I think they would do Legends Arceus, or if they did a Legends game, I think it would be the same region as whatever the remake is in. So they keep it like, BDSP was Sinnoh and Legends Arceus was Sinnoh as well.
But then I don't think the theory would hold up then, because I don't think they'd wait a whole year to do that.
Do you not?
No.
Do you think they'd do a similar release schedule like they did with BDSP and Legends Arceus then?
Yeah.
Like in November and then a February
release. if they want to release Gen 10 on the 30th anniversary, which I'm all for, because it would mean they would have more time to polish the game, Everyone knows all the shit that's happened with Scarlet and Violet, and an extra year to like polish it up would be like amazing. Especially the new console will be out by then and stuff. So I think it would be really good if it was really good, especially for the 30th anniversary. It would actually make a lot of sense, because if you think about it, if they don't do that, they don't do Gen 10. So the current release schedule in our minds is we get Black and White remake next year, 2024 November, and then the year after that we get Gen 10, which would be 2025, which would be a year short of the 30th anniversary, which would then mean in the year of the 30th anniversary we're only really getting DLCs. And, like, do people want that? Like, they might do another game, but I mean, like, unless they're planning some mad game after Gen 10, which I don't think they would be, because Gen 10's going to be, it's a new gen, right? So they wouldn't try and trump it unless they're doing something. I couldn't really fathom anything that could top like the Gen 10 remake. So not remake, sorry, but the Gen 10 just in general. So for me, it would make a lot of sense if they did actually do that. But then that would mean, in order to hit the schedule of one game a year, you'd have to do Black and White remakes next year and then a Legends game the year after, for then
or
the year after that to be Gen 10, which would be the 30th anniversary in 2026.
If the Legends game is, if the next Legends game, if they say they're doing the next Legends game, the next Legends game is back to Johto, right? And we don't get a Gen 5 remake, we get a Gen 2 remake.
But they've done a Gen 2 remake already.
Why does it matter? Doesn't matter. They could do another one on the Switch, right?
I guess so.
They could do a Crystal one.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and then so they release a Crystal remake next year, which takes us back to Johto. Then the following November, they release the Legends Celebi or whatever it's going to be for that region, Johto region, and it all ties into Kitakami and the DLCs in Scarlet and Violet somehow. Okay. And then the following year would take us into that 30th anniversary, which would then be the announcement of Gen 10 in that November.
Yeah, but
and then they would do Gen 5 remakes as part of the Gen 10 cycle rather than part of the Gen 9 cycle.
But then the problem with that theory is, as we just mentioned, I don't think if they're going to do two games that are linked to each other, so if they did a Gen 2 remake and a Legends game based on Gen 2, I don't think they'll wait a year to release them, in my opinion.
Why not, though?
Because with BDSP they did it. I mean, it's different with BDSP because you don't know how much COVID screws things. Obviously, COVID knocked a few things back. Yeah. So,
and I also think that if they keep everything in house, it would make sense for them to have a year break between the two development times. if they're not outsourcing the remake to someone like Ilka, again, if they're doing it in-house, Game Freak are doing it themselves to make sure that it's how they want it to be, then that year gap between the two would probably make a bit more sense. And then you could have the, the main series title of Sword and Shield competitive was played on Sword and Shield the entirety, despite, when BDSP got announced, you thought, oh, cool, we'll be moving over to BDSP. We've talked about it before about, these remake titles being played in the competitive format, but BDSP, because it was a kind of a side game, it was a faithful remake. The competitive scene never moved over to it. If Game Freak keep the remake, whatever it is next year, in-house, then there's a likelihood that we move away from Scarlet and Violet, and the competitive format then gets played on that for another year. So it fills a gap as well. Or maybe 2 years, I don't know. Or they could do it in reverse, they release the Legends game next November, and then the following November, then they release the whatever remake, Black and White or Johto. Or Johto. I don't know. I don't personally see, if it's in the same region, there being a problem with them having a year gap between them. But again, it could play nicely into a lead in to. So in my mind right now, I'm thinking, okay, we get Gen 2 next November, right, as a remake. Okay, and then the next November we get Legends Kyurem, which is Unova Legends game in that November, right? So they're two different regions. They fall into your theory about them being separate regions in the year gap. And then from that Legends Kyurem, it leads into the 30th anniversary where they announced Gen 10. And from the back of that Legends game, it all ties in nicely to a Gen 5 remake in that period as well. So that could work.
Yeah.
But it would all have to be a Gen 2 remake, like Crystal or something like that. They could do like a Crystal remake for the Switch in the meantime to fill the gaps. There is a gap that needs to be filled here. If we are going to be kind of saying they're going to save Gen 10 for the 30th anniversary, which would be cool. Because I think you're right. I think like you release Gen 10 on the current schedule and it falls in 2025, and then you get to 2026 on that 30th anniversary, and it's like you feel a little bit deflated because how can you top a new generation? You can't really.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That would make.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to process that. That makes the most sense to me, and I kind of want that to happen now, but I don't know whether it will. It's just like we don't know anything, and we won't know really until we've had the DLCs, until whatever get teased next year, whatever after the DLC drops, and we start getting teaser for the next thing. That's when we can start drawing these lines a lot, connecting the dots a lot easier. But currently, as it stands, we can't really do that because we just don't know like what direction they want to take it in.
Yeah, it's gonna be February before like next Pokemon Day, next presents. It's gonna be the big news about what we'll get next year. There'll probably be murmurings and leaks potentially about what could be coming, but we don't know anything concrete until that Pokemon presents in February, which is the big one every year for Pokemon Day. So yeah, we'll know a lot more. I love this though. We'll know a lot more in February. Come back then.
We won't know anything. It's always a bloody way though. It's a bit frustrating personally, but yeah, patience is, sometimes you just got to be patient. Like I said, we're getting ahead of ourselves really because we've got the DLCs. We don't know what the DLCs. There could be wild stuff in the DLCs that makes all of this make sense when the DLC drops. And
and there could be Easter eggs in the DLCs that kind of point towards where we are going next as well, which is the other thing that we don't.
Do Pokemon have a history of doing that for setting up previous games? Like they're not just hiding stuff in there just for fun.
No, they always like to drop Easter egg stuff hinting at future generations. There's loads of scenarios going right back to like Gen 4 of things that are hinted at for future generations. I mean, they even hinted the DLCs in in Scarlet and Violet base games. I think it's in Medali Town outside the restaurant. There's the poster of the Legendary 3, the Munkadori, Pheasantipede. That poster that's on the DLCs in the teal mask. That poster is outside the Medali restaurant in those games. So there's even like links between the two. But I guess when you're playing through the game, you don't really pay much attention to those sort of things until they get revealed as like, oh, this is the next stage later on, you know?
Yeah.
So there's loads of little Easter eggs always. Always. So they like doing it. So I think when the DLCs come out, we probably get some little tidbits of what we might be seeing down the line. I'm still convinced as well that we're going to get the classic collection at some point on the virtual consoles. It just blows my mind that we have the Game Boy Virtual Console and the GBA Virtual Console, and we haven't got possibly the biggest titles for those consoles on those. They haven't released them yet. Like they have to release Pokemon for those virtual consoles. It seems pretty pointless them bringing the virtual consoles if they're not going to bring Pokemon to them at any stage. And with the life cycle of the Switch not being that much longer, where everyone's expecting the Switch 2 to be announced either later this year, possibly September, or definitely early next year, then I think like there isn't much time for you to release this classic collection on the Switch. Like they gotta do it sooner rather than later, you know.
Did you see Riddler Coo did a tweet about what your bets are for the next game, and interestingly, the Legends game is the most popular opinion.
Yeah.
And then he goes, Legends is quite popular, huh?
Yeah. Which is maybe a big hint. But I mean, he can't dictate how the poll turns out, right?
No. But I mean,
I think it's indicative to say one of those options is information that he's got. He's a very reliable source. So I think one of those options he's got in the poll is what we'll see next from on the cycle. It's going to be from that list. I would say there's no chance we're going to get Let's Go Unova or Let's Go Johto. They're not going to do another Let's Go game. I think, that was to kind of link up Pokemon Go with Switch players and appeal to the Kanto purists. I don't think we're going to get another Let's Go game, which is a little bit sad for those that like it, but I think it will be a progression onto Legends, or it will be a Gen 5 it'll not be a remake, it'll be, I think, a continuation. I'm convinced it'll be Black and White 3, which would be very cool. Do it, Pokemon.
Yeah, sorry. I was just looking at something else that just popped up. Pokemon. Yeah, we just have to wait and see. Let's not hop on it for too long, because I feel like we're just rolling around in circles right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Let's just see what happens on Sunday. See what Terra Raid we get announced. Let's just focus on the news that we had. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, it's obviously fun to theorize, but unfortunately, it can get frustrating because you're sitting there thinking, we're just not going to know for so long. This is 3 years down the line, or like 2.5 years at this point down the line. Like we're just not going to know until we get that announcement next year of what is coming after the DLCs. We're not going to know what direction they're going in, because I think if they don't do a black and white remake next year, they don't announce that, they announce a Legends game or something different, or a Johto remake, then that's when I think there is credence to the theories that we have right now. But we just got to wait and see what they announce, and then we'll go from there, basically.
I agree, mate. I think that is exactly what we need to wait for. We just need to be patient. It's not long till February, right?
No, I don't think so either. So
Christmas before you know it.
It feels long, but as you know, it will whip around very quickly. So
yeah, that's it. So no, I agree. I think as well you can just get tangled up in all of it, and just there's so many possibilities where they could go with everything, and who knows. So let's just bide our time and wait for what's coming. Have we got a goodie bag this week then, mate?
That's what I've been trying to sort out. We got a few things. Again, haven't had loads of time this week, but a couple things. The first thing moving on to that, we need to make like a little screen
We're
swipe.
there. Yeah, we do. I'll make one for us for next week. I think that there was a big consensus to my disapproval of the story that we covered last week on, is it Hugh Hefner's son?
Yeah.
I think people want to have a continuation of this storyline, so we could make this like a running thread. What is his name? What is his name again? What's he called?
Marston Hefner.
Marston. So we could have a Marston section on on the pod. Continue on, see what Marston's been going up to or doing this week. As I still can't find the words for my feelings on that story.
He just looks like I'm on his Instagram right now. He just looks like he likes Pokemon. I mean,
he doesn't just like Pokemon, does he?
Well,
he's obsessed.
He must be obsessed, to start an OnlyFans to fund it. But I mean, there's nothing special here in any of the pictures that.
And he is one of the nicest.
His OnlyFans hasn't like taken off yet. This is why the cards aren't like up to
true.
The level. So the more popular the OnlyFans gets, the better the cards become. That's the incentive. I mean, is that a sealed fossil pack?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I mean, the guy must have money, man. What's in this chest?
Is that he's like safe?
I need to know what's in the chest. There's nothing in. Okay, this is just where he keeps some of his cards.
Okay.
Let's see what he's got in there.
What you got in there? Come on, Marston. Let's have a look. Oh no, the Morrow.
Oh, is just going in his little chest?
Does he have a padlock on that?
Yeah.
It doesn't look the most fireproof of things, right? I think if you, if you got Pokemon cards that you really like want to look after, like, try and get a fireproof safe. So if your house burns down, at least the cards are going to be safe.
Oh, we've done an unboxing. He's doing a whole unboxing for Paldea Evolved.
No way. What set's that?
Pardon?
I can't really see it. What set's that?
Paldea
Evolved?
Yeah.
Okay. Brand new set.
Well, we should get him on. We got to get him on the pod. Know what I mean?
No. I don't
don't
know if I could be serious. I don't know if I could be serious.
No, because we can interrogate him and be like, look, what's actually happening? What are you doing on your... What cards are you trying to get? Because we can help you. We can point you in the right direction.
Stop the OnlyFans. You don't need to be exploiting yourself.
Yeah, trust me. We can help you.
There are other ways.
There are other ways. Just buy some old sets, keep them for like a couple of years, resell them, use it. Just trust me. That's how you fund your addiction. We've been there.
See, this is what I mean. Like, there is another way. Like, you just buy, this Paldea Evolved set. Like, just buy an extra booster box right now and just put that one away. And then in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, sell that booster box, and then you're gonna have a lot more money to play with to buy your cards. There are, yes, like you say, there are definitely ways to get around this. We're not gonna sit and watch this whole booster box.
No, we're not. I'm gonna DM him and ask him if he wants to come on the podcast. But yeah, we'll see how that goes, bless him.
I'm all for it. I mean, get him on. I would love to hear a bit about his dad and things. It would be, yeah.
There is loads of Pokemon stuff on here, bless him. Like, he obviously loves Pokemon.
I wonder if he lives at the Playboy Mansion. Because, like, he obviously inherited, unless Hugh, like, left it to the Playgirls. I don't know, that feels a bit, I don't know.
These are actually all the Pokemon cards from from the girls that used to be in the mansion. They are actually all Pokemon, like, big Pokemon fans. No. And they're just like, I'm gonna keep all these Pokemon cards. All the Playboy girls have secretly been massive Pokemon card collectors.
Yeah, Hugh's like rinsed because they're always just constantly just buying new sets, booster boxes, just constant a stream of deliveries from like Amazon and Collector's Cash and just.
It seems like a bit of a legend, to be honest. So, just a nerd, basically. He's just a nerd. That's all.
Fair play to him. Fair play to him. I like you've got to say, like, to go that far with an OnlyFans to fund your Pokemon card. Love. It's a big commitment to kind of go forward and be like, I crave these cards, and the only way I can do it to fund them is through this.
I feel like, there's also this, it might not want to take. He might be trying to do his own thing, as in, like, I'm not talking about the OnlyFans, but like not take money from his dad. So he's trying to just live his own life basically. And
no,
not
fair
just
play to
mooch
him. I
off it.
think more power to him.
That's what
more
I think.
Power to him. It's a crazy story, though. It's a crazy story.
It's still a crazy story that we need to know more about. But if there are any updates, I'll see if we can get him on the pod. But yeah, writer and gamer, fair play. But I had a few other things that I wanted to show you.
Yeah.
So this one was just awesome. Someone made a guitar, using Pokemon cards, and I just thought it was really cool.
What, the body's made out of Pokemon cards?
I don't know if it's made out of Pokemon cards, but I think they've done.
I know they've put like a vinyl thing on.
Yeah, like a
That's
Pokemon
cool,
card
isn't
vinyl over the top of the guitar.
That's very cool.
Which I thought was wicked.
That is
all
very,
of
very nice.
the base set cards, basically, which is very cool. I think it's a vinyl. They're not, unless they are cards, but I doubt it.
That's very cool, isn't it? I like that. But that's nice.
Yeah, I just thought that was wicked.
That's very nice. People are very creative, aren't they?
Oh mate, tell me about it. It just makes me like, why am I not? I get annoyed at myself. Like, why don't I do shit like this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why have I
so
got
boring?
nothing to show? Why am I so talentless? I have nothing to show with any like crafting skills. Should we do some crafting projects? And we should set ourselves a crafting project, and then on a future pod we have to show our crafting project off.
We should do a live stream together where we do we change some shells on the DSs. We could do them on the DSs because I know they're a pain in the bum or something.
Oh, DS is the worst, mate. I watched someone reshell a DS the other day, and they did it like, honestly, I don't know if it was edited to be perfect, but they made it look so easy. The hinges are what always get me on them. The hinges on a DS are obnoxious. But yeah, that would be fun. I'd much prefer to do a reshell of an SP, but because that's nice and straightforward. But yeah. Scott, have you frozen?
No, I haven't. I'm just trying
to.
I've got something to show you, but I'm trying to validate whether it's real or not. I'm just reading the comments. Some people saying it. People are saying it's real. I'm just going to show you, and then you can work it out.
Okay, let's bang it up. Let's have a look.
Let's bang it up. So this is a billboard in Times Square.
Wow.
And apparently you can just pay money to put stuff up there. And
no way.
Yeah. It was like $40 for like 15 seconds apparently, and he just put a dancing Oshawott up there. I thought it was quite funny.
That's amazing. That's pretty cool.
And then
what would you put up on the billboard?
Here's the receipts. Obviously subscribe to Pokeballs Podcast. I mean, what else would you put up there?
I was thinking, yeah, that's the obvious thing we should be doing. This is why we should never be in charge.
This is why I'm in charge of PR.
Yeah, I was thinking more like we could put Marston up on there for like 15 seconds.
Oh, allow.
The way my brain works is wrong. Yeah, yeah, the Pokeballs podcast, that would be very cool. Put a big.
Thing is, we can't even go there to get a video of it. That's the annoying thing. Even if we paid to put something up there.
Yeah, it would be a very expensive PR stunt, wouldn't it? We could maybe take a trip to New York one day, do a pod from there, just for the reason that we could put up the podcast on the billboard. Very cool though.
Yeah.
$40.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of money. I guess maybe they just handpick some. It's obviously a promotion for something. Yeah.
I like the dancing Oshawott though. It's a very good choice.
Have you seen the This is really random. Quick tangent before we end. The Megadome that they've built in Vegas.
Yes,
it's insane, man.
Crazy. Yeah, it's so cool. I saw a post. Someone, I think it was this morning. Someone saying who's playing Pokemon Unite
in the
Pokemon. That is the one. Yeah.
What I see. Yeah.
It's so cool. The first time I saw it was a big base.
It does not look
basketball.
real. Yeah.
No.
It looks fucking dystopian as fuck, bro.
Yeah.
But it's huge.
And
from the floor.
The shot that I was looking at was from the strip, so it was
that's what I mean.
Way up, and it was like this big like basketball just sitting in the middle of Vegas. It's so crazy, so cool.
Yeah, let's have a Vegas sphere. This is a weird tangent towards the end of the show, but
it is very cool. It's worth going down this tangent.
Where's the basketball one? Yeah, I mean,
There's the basketball one. Yeah, but it was a further away shot. For those of you that are listening on Spotify or iTunes, do go and check out the Vegas Sphere and have a look. That's the one, mate. That's the one that I saw. Yeah, that one. Yeah, which is absolutely mad. Like it doesn't look like
it looks
it's
like
there.
a projection. It looks like they photoshopped it in. It does not seem real.
But it's actually real. It's so cool. It kind of makes you think like what a place is going to be like in the future when this technology's rolled out.
Well, this was made for events, but people pointed out like this is a massive advertising like.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see what an event looks in there. They're like, it must be crazy in there, bro, to see an event. But
yeah, it'd be insane.
Advertisement on the outside is insane. You got it costs like £2.2 billion to make. Like insane, but also very cool. Very, very cool. So
it is amazing. It's an amazing bit of kit. Like, yeah, it'd just be cool, like to see how long it'll take for them to pop up in other places. I won't imagine very long. Like the impact it's having, I'm imagining a lot of cities would be like, we need something like this. It might not be a dome. It might be just a big skyscraper with all of the LCD panels on the outside of it. But yeah, it's very, very cool. The dome is just, it's great.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. The fact that you can just see it. Yeah, I'd love to see an event in there. It'd be so cool.
When was the last time I was in Vegas? It was like 2019. So it wasn't there then. I don't think when I was there. I didn't see it anywhere.
I've never been to Vegas, so can't vouch.
It's very cool. It's a very cool place.
I have heard.
It's a very special place. It's very different to everywhere else on the planet.
Fair.
I feel like it's somewhere everyone needs to go to experience at some point.
Excellent.
But yeah. Is that everything, mate, this week?
That is everything this week.
Flown by.
Bit of a different one, but like I said, we
got much planned for the rest of the week then, my friend?
Nothing too crazy.
Just resting up, yeah.
Resting up. I've got a gaming event, not an event, but Rishan was actually meant to be going with me, but he's got work things now. But there's Apex Legends. There's a playoffs up in the Olympic Park in London in one of the arenas. So I'm just going to watch that. So that'd be quite cool.
That'd be cool.
What about you?
Enjoy
anything
that,
on?
Mate. Not this week. No, don't have really much on this week. Trying to think. No, mate. Nothing planned for the weekend, which is quite nice. It's weird, like saying it's nice not having much planned. I just know how busy I'm going to be over the next few weeks. Like from the end of July till the second week in September, I'm going to have stuff on every week, every weekend. So it's going to be a really tiring, busy period. So I'm kind of reaping the time I've got now where I've not got much on, just to kind of drink it in and reminisce about this time when I'm flat out for the next few weeks. So nothing planned, mate. Nothing exciting. I'll just be doing usual stuff. Got some exciting videos coming out on the channel, back to streaming over there and things like that. So that's kind of nice to do. But yeah, kind of bridging the storm that's about to come.
Cool.
But that's about it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not ramble on for too long because I know you've got somewhere to be soon.
I do, yes. School run.
Do. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Let us know what you think about the theories because we always want to know what people think. And hopefully we'll get some more news. We're trying to record these closer to the release date so that we get more relevant information because some recent times we've missed some stuff because we've recorded a bit earlier and stuff. So hopefully we should be as up to date as we can be, unless they drop something today, in which case we might miss it. But we're recording this the day before.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Yeah, we're recording this on Tuesday, so this is pre 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock's normally the time, UK time, when you would get something dropped from Japan. That would be the equivalent time zone. So you can convert 2 p.m. UK time to whatever time zone you're in if you're not in the UK. And that's normally the time every day where Japan, if they do drop anything, they will drop it at that time every day. So if there's nothing at 2:15 that day, you're pretty safe knowing nothing else is going to drop for the rest of the day. So
cool.
We'll see. Something might drop, mate. No, and our luck it will. Change the pod day recording and yeah, it'll drop. Won't miss the boat again. But never mind, we'll pick up on it next week if that does happen.
No worries. Well, goodbye everyone, and we'll see you in the next pod.
Take care everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Wake up.